Hello and welcome to Dad's ninth round 5-word challenge story, the penultimate one. So let's remind you of the words that you need to look out for in the story. They are farm, king, bicycle, bear, and donkey. The title of the story is The Bear and the Donkey. This is a story about how two very different animals from completely opposite backgrounds became the best of friends. Boo Boo the bear was born in a forest. He didn't like the name much, but every night in the little cave in the forest where he went to sleep, his mum and dad would tuck him in and say, "Night night, Boo Boo Bear, sleep tight," and the name just stuck. All this furry animal knew was the forest, and as he grew up and got bigger and bigger, he spent his time chasing rabbits, climbing trees, and even catching fish down in the river. But there was always something missing, and he never really had a real friend to play with. Every time he asked his parents if he could venture a bit further, he was always told of a fence that surrounded their happy home, and that it would keep them safe. "Stay away from humans, they don't like us bears. If you see one, you must hide," he was told. One day, as Boo Boo was practicing his hiding skills by standing behind a tree, he heard 2 shots and went to investigate. When he arrived at the source of the noise, he saw his parents lying peacefully in the back of a truck that had Portshampton Zoo written on it. The truck began to drive off. It took a few seconds for the little bear to understand what was going on, but as the vehicle began to disappear down the track, Boo Boo ran after it. "Mum, Dad, wait for me!" he cried, as his little legs tried to catch up. But it was no good. Boo Boo was now alone, upset and rather confused. Why would they leave me? He thought, as he went back to the cave and hibernated. Meanwhile, in a place far away lived a donkey named Donald. Donald was not always his name. In fact, he can't remember having one. And this one was not one he particularly liked either, as you'll soon find out why. But let's start at the beginning. Born on a farm, this donkey had a great time. He had plenty of friends just like him, as well as other 4-legged animals, such as horses, goats, sheep, pigs, cows, and even a dog called Bruno. On top of all these were millions of 2-legged pals too, including chickens, ducks, and the wisest of all, an owl called Oscar. As for the farm itself, you could see for miles. It was peaceful, well, except for all the noise the animals made when they were playing, of course. But there was plenty of food, shelter, and lots of hay to sleep on. Farm life was a good life. That was until one day when Donald and some of his friends were loaded onto a truck and driven off down the country lanes. Whoopee! A day out, they thought. How wrong would they be? Fields soon made way for buildings, car horns honking all around, people everywhere. The noise was horrible. Eventually, the trucks stopped and the donkeys were herded into a pen in a market square. Chatter, chatter, chatter. The noise continued until Donald was led out of the wooden enclosure and paraded around like a prize pony. Well, donkey, actually. "Sold!" he heard, as there was a loud bang of something wooden on a table. It was not long before he was led away, and placed in another truck, only this one was small, dirty, and had Smee's Seaside Funfair written on it. As for Boo Boo the bear, winter became spring, and the king of the forest awoke from his hibernation, hungry and still on his own. It was then that he decided he wanted to find a friend and venture out beyond the fence he was so often told about. Packing his pajamas, blanket, and favourite acorn teddy, this lonely bear set off to find happiness. Day turned to night, and night turned to day, and there was no sign of a fence anywhere. After one more moonlit sky, the wandering bear noticed that the landscape had changed. Funny-looking things stood on the ground, with pointy tops and all different colours, and replaced all the trees he lived in all his life. But he did smell something good, as his nose twitched, and he walked in the direction of the aroma, as if under a spell. Boo Boo came across a barbecue with sizzling sausages cooking on it. He just had to have a taste, as he grabbed a pawful and shoved them in his mouth. Next came the roar, "Ah!" Having never eaten or touched anything that hot before, the bear was shocked. Oh, how it burned! As he ran around the garden with hot paw and breathing fire from his mouth like a dragon, Boo Boo broke the garden fence, crashed through a greenhouse, got his head stuck in a bucket, and fell into a pond. That cooled him down. Now there were noises of a different kind, human ones. The bear had to run. Wait, what's this? Boo Boo saw a bright coloured thing with a pretty bow and balloons attached. It also had 2 wheels, and was the birthday present of the girl who lived at the house, whose garden was now destroyed and party food eaten. For some reason, the animal decided to climb on the new bicycle, only he didn't get very far. Snap! The stand broke. The tyres popped and wheels buckled, the screams of the girl ringing in the bear's ears. It was time to run. Donald hadn't had much fun either. After being sold at the market, the donkey was transported to the seaside, which, on first inspection, seemed pretty nice, until he was locked in a cage, in the open air, wind whistling and howling all night long. Days passed, and fed only scraps, Donald became sad and dirty, and his coat matted. It was horrible, but it was going to get worse. Donald actually got his name from the funfair owner, who wanted to offer donkey rides along the beach next door. Day after day, he would have to walk up and down the seafront with children on his back. Some were really nice and would give him a stroke or a scratch, left a bit, down a bit, right a bit. Just there. That's the spot, the donkey would think to himself. Many of his riders were not so nice, though. They would kick him, cover him in sticky candy floss, or just be mean and call him names. Isn't Donald meant to be a duck? That's more of an oversized mangy dog. Or, in a very bad Scottish accent, would say, Donald, where's your trousers? One day, one particularly horrid boy pulled his ears. The donkey had had enough, and buckarooed the boy so high into the sky that NASA thought he was an astronaut. But Donald didn't hang about to watch. He ran and carried on running. Boo Boo Bear and Donald the donkey continued running. Buildings and roads made way for fields, hills, trees, and lakes. It was peaceful once more. But both of the animals felt more frightened and alone than ever before. That was until they found each other. Stopping by a lake, Donald dived in, had a good wash and a drink before brushing his coat against a tree. He was looking good for the first time in a long time. Suddenly, a rather sad-looking bear appeared and sat on a rock, head in his paws. The donkey became brave and went to investigate. It was the moment that changed their lives forever, and very shortly afterwards, the unlikely duo were running around playing tag, splashing water at each other, playing hide and seek, and even playing football with a ball they found in the bush. Boo Boo and Donald became inseparable, the very best of friends, and went everywhere together. All they needed was each other. They had the best time together. As summer turned to autumn, the friends decided they needed a shelter to keep them warm and dry during the winter. So the bear built them a house, while Donald did all the donkey work, obviously, bringing mud, rocks, branches, leaves, and anything else he thought his friend would need to build the house and would be of use. Before long, the house in the wilderness was complete, and the donkey and bear moved in. It was magic for both of them. They had each other, they were happy, and they were a family. Donald and Boo Boo lived happily for many years. They even found a TV. And although the bear's snoring was so loud that the trees would shake, the donkey simply put fir cones in his ears, smiled, and went to sleep. The end.